Culture diversity is a combination of people from different culture and background at the one place. For example, Chinese people eating style are using the chopstick, which is heritage way of eating style. This demonstrates the uniqueness of Chinese culture and background. While in Thailand, people are using fork and spoon for eating. This shows different methods of eating style of different nationalities. However, there are solutions in order to make different culture and people to stay together. The people need to try and understand other people from their thought instead of judging them from their behavior or stereotype. For example, in Myanmar, people are wearing sarong as their traditional and cultural dress in order they pay respect to the Buddha whenever they visit temple. As well, by combining different cultures as a result, it contributes to a new culture. For example, at the Stanford University, there are more than 109 nationalities overall. This shows the cultural diversity can create new culture at Stanford University. For example, the dress code graduates can wear private uniform for attending their lecture or class.
Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Dr. Declan. I'm the Assistant Dean and Head of Department of General Education, which I teach humanities, social science. In all degree curriculum is general education. So
Excuse me, how long you teach here?
at Stanford, I've been here since 2011, June 2011, so 7 years.
Wow, so long.
But I've been in Thailand since 2005, so 13 years, 14 years.
And can you speak a bit Thai?
Did know.
Need no. Okay.
I know.
Okay, we start the first question. How do you collaborate with students from diverse cultures, nationalities, and can you share experience about people different background from you?
Well, in my classes, general education classes, they have 60 students. All the other main degree majors have classes maximum 40. Some are 30, 20. So I have 60. They're always full. And so obviously in that class, there's going to be a broad range of international students, Thai students, people from every continent, Africa, Asia, Europe, and all over the world, the Americas, North and South. But on top of that, there's a range from LEP, basic English, up to English 101, 102, English 103, and then native English speakers. So I have a full range of diverse nationalities, intellectual abilities, all within 60 students. There's people from straight A to those who are struggling to get a D, even struggling to get an F.
Okay. Next question. Can you discuss any difference between Western and Eastern cultures?
Okay, so just generally speaking, Western culture being Europe, North America, Canada, USA, maybe Australia, these kind of countries, the people, although they're diverse due to globalization, there's diverse multicultural societies, but in a Western mentality, the mindset of how one is educated, no matter where they're from, ethnic background or not, they're more, they express themselves, they're independent mind, and they can speak out loud and say their opinion. Whereas Asia, or the Eastern world, most of the time is very inhibited. So you're very shy, people are very shy to stand up and speak. Certainly in my 15 years or so in Thailand, I've noticed the Thai education system. Thais, even if they're GPA grade 4, 0, they're A grade students, they're very intelligent. They don't want to stand up and give an opinion or give an answer in the class to look so intelligent when the rest of the class cannot answer. And they also don't want to make a stupid answer, make them look like a quai or an idiot. So it's the extreme to being very intelligent or not intelligent. People just don't say anything. They sit and just listen. And I found that out when I first came here, because someone was sitting in the class saying nothing, not interrupting with anyone, but paying attention, not on their phone, but paying attention, never asking questions, never participating. And when they wrote their assignments, it was A grade, far better than some native English speakers, very intelligent. And I wondered why do they not speak in class? Why don't they give their ideas to me in class? And educate their friends. But that's the culture. So there's a clash between to be shy and to be inhibited more in Asia or Eastern world, and the Western world, people speak out loud. Even though they're not intelligent, they'll shout and scream their opinion. So I can combine both of those in class. I assess on people's intelligence, not whether they're loud and outward or inward and shy. I can find out individually if people have abilities or not.
Okay. The next one. Do you meet and barriers when you work with other different nationals colleagues? Example for sharing your idea about the communication.
Well, as I said, the communication depends on how they've been educated. It doesn't matter about what their ethnic background, their religion, their ethnic minority, or their native language, the country they call home. If they can communicate in English and they're intelligent and they like to research and do work, then there's no problem. The barriers are how people are nurtured. Like some cultures, they think homosexuality, transgender, factors which are considered a sin in their religion or illegal in their legal system. These things, they can't use critical thinking skills. They're just inundated as a child of what is right and what is wrong. Whereas at university, in my classes, I deal with euthanasia, which is helping someone else to die because they cannot commit suicide, the concepts of suicide, transgender, homosexuality or same-sex marriage, all these issues which are social taboos elsewhere. Some students have got up and left the room because they cannot cope and deal with discussing it. This is university and we're supposed to express any opinion. There's two sides to every story. There's good, bad, yin-yang, evil, goodness, happiness, sadness, darkness, lightness. There's two sides to everything. So to just get up and leave, then that is not a university education. That's not critical thinking. That's not being intellectual. Because the ideal person who's an intellectual, intelligent person, let's say, as an example, you could be a Muslim who does not drink alcohol and does not eat pork, because that's the religion. But you could argue in a debating competition, pork is the best, healthiest food of meat you can eat, and alcohol is the most relaxing drink you can have. And if you're a strong thinker, a strong critical thinker, and a strong debater, you win that debate, although you don't live that life. You don't eat pork or drink alcohol, but you say these things. That's a way of critical thinking. You get up and leave the room because of people who are born with a penis and cut off their penis and become a woman and become a transgender, and to not be able to debate these things and discuss these things, to leave the room, that is not being educated. Or to have KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists, to not have them speaking so you can laugh at them or tell them that they're a subspecies, they're ignorant, they need to learn that the world is one human being of different colours, skin is irrelevant, we're all Homo sapiens. To not be able to have that debate is not education. So the barriers are those who do not open up their minds to other ideas. So I need to overcome those barriers by being confrontational in an academic way. Open your mind.
Open your mind. Okay. The next one. Have you ever experienced and leisure tensions while you working at Stanford? And do you have any different teaching style with students who have different culture?
You mean racial tension?
Racial tension.
I've not personally been involved, but I've been asked to be involved. Some students think that they're getting bad grades because their teacher is racist. But that's because they never come to class, they're not intellectually, as I said earlier, they haven't got critical thinking because their religion or their culture is anti this, anti that. And so they're getting bad grades because they're not doing intellectual research. They're speaking of how their parents and their grandparents taught them how to speak. So because they're not white, they think a white teacher is racist. Because they're not, whatever the reason, whatever the culture is, they think it's racism, which is not what happens at the university. There was one student who was trying to, the photocopy machine in building 1. You can pay money to get the thing printed out. Mm-hmm. He was arguing with this there was a long queue of people, and the woman who's Thai was working on the photocopy machine. And this student from Africa, she said she was talking to her colleague and said something in Thai which he understood the phrase, because they were talking to each other, but he took it to be against him. So he started screaming and shouting and ripping up paper and causing a huge, great scene. So he got called to the disciplinary committee, and because I was called out of my classroom to calm the situation, because it was next door to what was going on, I was also called in. It wasn't a racist situation. It was this person. He eventually got expelled because it was the third or fourth time he'd got a warning of not being a student. He wasn't working. He was also harassing a student, a woman student in a hijab. She was clearly a Muslim, who said, "Don't follow me." She was going to get a taxi. He'd follow her and he'd ask where you live. It was just harassment. So he was that is tension, but not racial. It was just a person with a problem who's no longer here. What was the other point? Different styles, different culture. Okay, so I would I approach all the class, all 60 members of that class are equal. It doesn't matter about your religion, it doesn't matter about your native language, it doesn't matter about. I allow people to even eat in class, because if you've got a 8-hour day with a 5-minute break between each class, you cannot go to have lunch, so they can eat. I accept that, and some people need to go and pray. There's a prayer room. They can leave the room and pray because it's that time of day for them. That's their culture, that's their religion. So I'm not going to punish someone because that's the life they live. If they can participate in class, it doesn't matter what religion, what native language, what colour of their skin, what their sexual orientation is. Whatever they do in their life outside the classroom is their life. Inside the classroom, they need to participate, they need to contribute, and they need to learn and teach others what they know. I don't care about what you do in your own private life. Some students have been arrested for dealing with drugs or using drugs, marijuana, but that's their choice. I mean, I don't teach them to do that, and I don't punish them for doing it. So I'm not the police.
Okay. For the next one, how do you address problems if there is any conflict between other people who has different background from you?
Well, as I said, similar to the other question, people come from many different cultures. I think in this university there's about 100 different passports of nationalities.
Yes.
So that's of every different continent around the whole world. Of course there's going to be conflict. Some people do things in their culture which is a social taboo in another culture. So people need to get to know each other. Instead of hanging out with their own group, that's what happens. Even in the UK, where I worked at a university, English is the medium, but as soon as people go outside, they speak their own native language, whatever that native language is. Either they speak Arabic or Russian or Thai or English or French or whatever the native language is. People feel comfortable speaking their own native language, so they hang out with people from their own culture. So it's good to make a point of not dealing with your own nationalities and mixing other people from other cultures, other religion, and just understanding how other people live. And asking why. Then if you're a friend, then you ask why, and it's not offensive. You don't go up to a stranger and say, "Why don't you eat pork?" Or to a Hindu, why don't you eat beef? You want to come for a beef burger? What do you mean a Hindu? You're a Hindu, and cows are sacred. They're not in my culture, but you need to learn and ask. Or ask and learn, sorry.
Both.
Right.
Okay, the next one. How do you challenge stereotype and contribute sensitively and inclusion?
Okay, well, that's what I use in my classes. Human rights class, religion class, and sociology. All societies are based on stereotypes. People live on stereotypes because it's far, far easier to just brush the whole nation or whole community with one brush, sweep it all with one brush, one comment, rather than spending time and focusing and intellectually studying, reading many books in the library, spending time to learn. So dealing with stereotypes is common, and that leads to ignorance. So I can say it many times every 5 minutes to overcome these problems, but people need to do that. They need to overcome stereotypes by getting to know people. Then you get to know them as a person, not the generalized where they're from stereotype, where the religion stereotype, their language stereotype, their culture stereotype. It's meaningless. They're so general, these stereotypes. So that's what needs to be overcome by learning and getting to know people. And what was the other point about stereotype and
Sensitivity and inclusion.
Well, yeah, okay, so as I said about things which are very sensitive, like transgender issues, same-sex marriage issues, these are sensitive, but they need to be addressed. So I will approach them in a polite and applied approach, but at least I approach them. To ignore them completely, that's just leading to ignorance and hate. Hate crimes come through ignorance. Phobias are fear. Fear is in the head. It's only psychological. It's not physical. Fear doesn't exist. It's up here. People are scared of spiders. People are scared of snakes, of gecko, of flying. They're scared of water. They're scared of things because they don't because it's in their head. They don't actually meet physically these things to overcome their fear. Same with people. Oh, he's from a certain part of the town. Don't talk to him or her because they'll knife you. Well, that's ridiculous.
Okay, we come from the last question. Describe your experience about the most difficult person that you are ever faced.
Okay, well, there's many people who are staff, colleagues, and students who have personality issues. But I look on life as one should. You as a student and me as a lecturer, you come in the building of the university or even at work, you come and put your face on for work, then you go home and be yourself. You can't come here with your problems at home or your problems with your friendships and start telling people how you really feel. That's why Thailand's the land of smiles, because people smile the whole time.
Yes, like me. So my hope.
Even though they don't like you, they'll smile. Then you go home and tell the truth. But yeah, there are people here who shouldn't be working here, one would argue. And there's some students who shouldn't be here, but it's the business these days. You pay money, and you get an education. It's a product. You buy a degree certificate, but instead of going down to Khao San Road to buy it as a photocopy fake one, you learn and study and do exams here. But the worst person, the worst student or the worst person was the worst person I've ever met.
Really difficult to favor.
Difficult to face.
Yes.
She's here, right here. The most difficult person ever I've met. Half an hour interview for her degree. See, you're smiling, land of smiles.
Okay, thank you so much for today.
Okay, good luck.
Your experience and your knowledge.
Work hard and you'll do well in life.
Thank you so much. We are going to interview about basketball night. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm one of the lecturers in Stanford University, full-time lecturer, teach PSY 101, 122, 102.
Okay, we will start for the questions. For number one, how do you collaborate with students from diverse culture, nationality, and can you share experience about it?
Sure, because we are international students, so we get a lot of students from around the world. So in my job, I would be open-minded and be respect for the different culture and different background of the student.
Thank you. And for the second question is, what is your visions of diversity at Stanford community?
Well, so the diversity means like the different people from different background, from different religions, from different thought and ideas. So I think the Stanford treat different students quite well, different in terms of the diversity.
Okay. And can you tell us what kind of experience you have in relating with people who have different background from you?
Sure, we have many students from different background in our class, in our classroom. So they're gonna have like different opinion. Some of the class may have different students may have like the conflict opinion to each other. So we are in like the middleman. We need to be organized the class and make each student to respect each other.
For the next one, what do you think when Stanford Sixth Force closed the door and work late and close to order? Could you give us some of the comment about that one?
About the door?
Yes, because they close on
the sixth floor.
Yeah, before the student can go inside, but now we have to contact with the Ajahn first and we go inside.
So I think there is a pro and con. Right? So for the student, it might be harder to get in touch with the teacher, with the lecturers, of course. But in terms of opening the door, I think the faculty might concern about the safety for both students and the lecturers.
Okay. Do you meet any barriers when you work with other different national colleagues? Example, sharing idea about the communication.
Barriers.
Yes.
For myself, I don't have that barrier because, as I told you before, if you base your teaching style with the respect to all the students, so the diversity would not come to the barrier.
Okay, for the next one. What do you think is it effective way to improve diverse university community in Stanford?
Open-minded to each others, respect, as I repeated again, and humble and friendly. That would be good.
Yes, maybe family can be fit
Yeah.
sometimes. Okay, for the next one. How do you define diversity and how do you contribute people to have the the next one. How do you define diversity and how do you contribute people to honor the uniqueness of each individual?
Diversity means different people come from different backgrounds, and how to create diversity in Stanford is like respect each other, come from different background, maybe try to learn different culture from each other. That would be nice.
And describe your experience about the most difficult person that you ever faced.
In terms of diversity,
Yes.
so maybe the difficult people who difficult to deal with in terms of diversity is maybe some of them can be very strong belief about their own culture and close every door for other culture. That would be hard to deal with.
Okay. The next one. Describe your experience when you need to work collaboratively with people who don't have the same idea as you.
Yeah, I have that experience all the time. And I think it's good because we have different ideas, so we're going to have a better idea when it comes to the sort of consensus.
Can you give a bit example for that?
Example, like if you want to improve your work, for example, if I have one idea and if my friend have another idea, which is going to be the conflict idea in the workplace, so we're going to try to set the ground rules, put everything on the table, and then we're going to try to, let's say, try to mix and match our ideas to work toward the same goal.
And the last question. How do you diverse Stanford students and staff impact on the work?
Consider about different culture, consider about different background, different religions, yes, and respect for all. That would be my style of teaching the work at Stanford.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself?
Of course, my name is Claude. I'm from South Africa, and I study here at Stanford. My faculty is International Relations.
Okay. The first question, can you tell us what kind of experience you have in relate with people who have different background from you?
It's very nice in my faculty because we have people from many different countries, and also especially I think in Stanford because we have so many cultures. The experience that you get from that is you can learn something new every day.
So next question, can you describe any difference between Western and Eastern culture?
In my opinion, I would say Western culture is more individual. So your parents would raise you to be independent, to get a job when you're done, move out of the house. But for Eastern cultures, I think it's very collective. So people value family a lot. If you're done with university or if you're still a student, you would still maybe live with your parents at home. And yeah, I think maybe that's the most important thing for me, or big difference, I'd say.
Okay. Do you meet any barrier when you work with other different national students, like sharing ideas and communication?
I wouldn't say that there's barriers, but sometimes communication problems, yes. It's quite nice because, like I said, it's different. It's nice to see different opinions about things and ways of looking at a problem.
What do you think is an effective way to improve diverse university community in Stanford?
I think that we don't need to improve it or increase the diversity, but we need to find a way to help people understand each other. So something like you have a cross-cultural class.
Yeah.
If we have classes like that teach us about different people's religions, a religious class, and something like that has to be mandatory. So every freshman has to take it, or something like now with the UN, we have this project with the UN, it's called He for She. And we're working with them to have maybe a workshop where everyone can come and to understand what is something appropriate and inappropriate that people do that sometimes can harass women or that's inappropriate, because many times, especially as guys, we do things that make you girls uncomfortable, but we don't know that we do it. So classes like this will help with diversity as well, and especially in culture here.
Okay. And how do you define diversity, and how do you contribute people to honor the uniqueness of each individual?
For me, diversity is probably just the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I agree that.
I guess that's how I would say it is. And I think it's very important that we see that we are different than other people, but also understand that we are the same. I think that's very important for me. And something that I always think about is when I make a decision, is it because of my own personal opinion, or is it something that I was taught in my country, or is it because of my society?
Thank you for today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yourself. My name is Rachel. I'm from Cambodia. I'm a third-year student at Stanford International University. My major is International Hotel Management.
Let's start with the first question. Can you tell us what kind of experience you have in relate with people who have different background from you?
Actually, meeting people from different cultures and different backgrounds are quite unique. I like meeting people from different cultures because I can learn their cultures, their language, behaviors, and how do they interact with people from different places.
Okay. Can you describe any difference between Western and East culture?
For Eastern culture, I personally think that they like to do things as a group. They are more like really close to each other, and they do things family oriented, and they don't really like to do things alone. But for Western culture, they take things more easily. They are quite chill, and they tend to take your opinion easily. Like they are not that sensitive.
Do you meet any barrier when you work with other different national students?
When it comes to working with different people, I think language is one of the barriers that I met so far, because like due to different region and different accent, it's quite hard for me and them to think about it. And the thing is, language, people have different language, so of course they have the different way of seeing it.
What do you think is effective way to improve diverse university community in Stanford?
I think creating more club activities like sport days, I think it will interact more students with having more interactions, because they can share their own cultures and their own language with other students. And the thing is, in Stanford, we have like Chinese New Year, Songkran, Local, right? I think if Stanford is like advertise more, like so students can join and know about that, I think that would be
What
great.
do you think is an effective way to improve diverse university community in Stanford?
I think creating more club activities and giving students more time to join those activities, I think are the most important thing to create more diversity, because like sport days, students can interact more with each other, they can communicate more, like Chinese New Year, Songkran. If we give those students more time to join those activities, I think they can learn more and create more diversity.
And the last question, how do you define diversity and how do you contribute people to honor the uniqueness of each individual?
For me personally, I think diversity is when cultures come together as one, like Thai culture, Western culture. So, and then giving value to these cultures is very important to show that we care about those cultures. And the thing is, to honor those cultures, we celebrate it. For example, we give value to Chinese culture, right? So we celebrate we celebrate Chinese New Year. We give value to Thai culture. We celebrate Songkran Day. So by celebrating those important days, showing that we care and we do like those cultures.
Okay, thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Nikki and I'm currently studying at International Hotel Management, and this term is my last term already, so I'm a senior student.
Could we start the question now?
Yes, sure.
What is your vision of diversity at a Stanford community?
So at the first time I come to school, it's 3 years ago, I'm thinking inside myself that I have to integrate as much as multiple cultural students as I can, because I'm basically from Vietnam, which is not many foreigner, and as well international school, so I feel very excited when I join this university.
Can you tell us what kind of experience you have in relating with people who have different background from you?
So I have experienced quite a lot of people from my different backgrounds, but now I'll just say some typical people that I meet in the last 3 years. So firstly, I will talk about Thai. So I have quite a lot of Thai friends, and I have as many experience with them in study. I go out with them as well as talk together about many problems in life. And to sum up, I found out that they very friendly person and very chill as well. They always have a relaxed mood for whatever they're facing in life, and that is what I admire about them. So until now, I have quite a lot of good feeling from my Thai friends. So yeah, it's a good point. And the next is the Chinese friends. So at school there's quite a lot of Chinese students that come to enroll. So I also have some. They're also nice when I having a Chinese assignment in my language class. I always ask them to help, like for interview or to help me to understand how to do it. So they are very willing to help me from very baby step and to the advanced step. Yeah. And another type of people that I'm going to say is other Western people. For me, they are very friendly and they are very free of speech. When I have a conversation with them, as their accent is
kind of different from what I have learned, and they speak quite fast, so it's kind of difficult for me to understand all the conversation. But however, I think it's a good practice for me for listening skill, because I'm studying in Asia, in Thailand, an international school. So yeah, it's a good practice for me.
Do you meet any barrier when you work with other different national colleagues? Like for example, sharing ideas or communication?
So in 3 years, I have worked with many many people from different nationality. So some of them, for me, they are very intelligent, smart, and always sharing the good idea, and always know how to do the work. And however, there's still some people that I'm working with. I have some barrier with them, especially communication and the way of their thinking. We don't have the same thought, and I think the other point I'm gonna say is maybe their habit. Like if they don't know what to do, they will extremely depend on the people that know something, and they will getting lazy and don't do the work well. So that is what difficult I'm facing when I'm working with that kind of person.
What do you think is an effective way to improve diverse university community in Stanford?
So the effective way to connect them together, especially people from different culture, I think the Stanford should create more activity like student sport or culture trip building what's that?
Club.
Team building,
Oh.
yeah, as well as team building, so we can do the activity together as a team, and we have a common goal together, and then we can keep the good relationship.
How do you address problem if there is any conflict between other people who has different background from you?
So when I have any conflict with anybody from different background, first thing I will do is try to talk with them in person, which means only two of us, and I will ask her or him like why you have the conflict with me, or what is the conflict about. So when I having the reason of this, I will try to explain it, and it may not any bad feeling, and I will try to reconcile the problem with her or him to understand that this conflict is not that a big problem that can separate our relationship. So we can figure out the better solution to handle the problem better together. So and we will not have any conflict together with each other anymore.